Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Global Expansion Team Zoom. Tonight, we've got Dick Walker joining us, and we're going to be talking about redox, everything you need to know about redox. So, Dick, thanks so much for joining us.
You bet. Let me just get a PowerPoint pulled up here so I can stay on track.
Absolutely. I know you and Nancy had every intention of coming to convention this year in Fort Worth, and unfortunately got COVID, and we're unable to attend. So we really wanted to, hear from you, since we didn't get to hear from you in Fort Worth. So anyway, this will be a great overview for us on what we need to know and what we don't need to know, right? We can see your slides perfectly.
Okay. I'm trying to bring it up with, do you see presenter notes or not?
I don't see your notes. Nope, I just see your slides.
Maybe I'm good without doing anything more. Okay, you're seeing the full screen Discover ASEA?
Yes, we are.
No presenter notes?
No presenter notes.
My cheat sheets. So, okay, great. Let's get started.
Yes, let's do that.
So for some of you, this will be a review, but for some, you may pick up some new information. But I hope to give you some perspective on understanding redox and how to talk to others about it, and the importance of redox to their well-being. And that's kind of what the Medical Professional Board has been helping ASEA with, was messaging and how to talk about this wonderful, wonderful product. So let's see if I can get my slide to advance. Okay, great. So here's a little bit about me. Probably the most important thing is I've been involved with ASEA we just had our 11-year anniversary, and we're triple diamonds, and I'm chairperson of the Medical Professional Board, which really has been around for a long time, but finally started doing something about a year and a half ago. And it's really been a lot of how to message about redox and about ASEA. But hopefully, from those qualifications, you figure maybe I'm somebody worth listening to. So we're going to talk about redox, which is a word that just means it's a combination of reduction and oxidation. And that's gaining and giving up an electron. It's really one of the most influential processes in biology that nobody hardly talks about unless you start looking at what ASEA does. But first, we're going to take a brief look at the science of redox biology. A very basic look, at least from my perspective. Hopefully it's not too sciencey, as this might, this could take a semester in college to truly understand redox, but we don't have a semester. We've got 30 minutes. So hopefully I can answer the question, why is it so important to the foundation and maintenance of your health? Then we'll take a look at specifically at ASEA redox and how that fits in. But take a look at this article, Redox Homeostasis, the Golden Mean of Healthy Living. Tyler Norton actually focused a little bit of attention on this article from the main stage, I believe, at the last convention. But it'll give you an idea of how influential this is when you look at this scientific overview. And if you're scientifically minded, you might go to pubmed.gov, pull that article up and read the whole thing. I just pulled up the abstract, not to read it, but to show you that it's there. But this is only one of thousands of scientific reviews documenting the positive influence of redox balance and redox signaling. Much of this science has just been written in the last 20 years or so, which is really just a blink of an eye in terms of how long the science has been around. And this is just one of many thousands of examples of articles that have been written about this science. So it really is the foundation for healthy cells. Why is redox so important? Well, it's an absolute requirement for healthy functional cells of all types. Cellular dysfunction is at the root cause of all illnesses. So you do want your cells to be functioning optimally. And trying to overcome serious health challenges without first correcting redox balance, which we're going to talk about for a little bit tonight, is, it's like trying to, play darts with your hands tied behind your back, or ping pong blindfolded. And if you've ever tried that, it really doesn't work very well. So you've got to first repair and strengthen the foundations of cellular health before you can really accomplish very much. And I notice with a lot of patients that were struggling and had been struggling for years and had tried everything. So once they tried supplementing with redox, everything started to work better. So I think what that tells you is that happy cells, healthy you. And life and wellness do not happen in the absence of redox balance. So redox truly is the golden mean of life. So I'm going to be talking about a science and a technology that can repair and rebuild the foundations of cellular health. Redox imbalance is the root cause for the vast majority of health challenges. I say that because a cell that is in redox balance can literally heal itself. So you're not going to get sick. But maintaining that balance is a constant challenge for your cells. Redox balance awakens what I call your inner doctor by activating multiple maintenance and repair pathways that we all have, but some of them just don't work in the absence of redox balance. And there's no better doctor anywhere for you than your own. So you've got to activate that inner doctor with redox. That's the wonder of redox, impacting root causes, providing lasting benefits, not just addressing symptoms, which may feel better, but in the long run just doesn't work out very well. For those of you who are not especially science-oriented, this is an important slide because it talks about understanding you at the molecular level, because the human body is made up of molecules that come together to form cells and trillions of cells that make up your body. But molecules also serve as building blocks for different structures, as biochemistry for providing function, as molecules for information processing, for communication both in and between cells. Molecules is the foundation for all healthy functional cells. And that's important, really important. Defining what life encompasses can be challenging. Let's give it a biochemical definition. Academics study this for years as a career, but let's see if we can do it really quickly. So what is life all about? Well, it's really an intricate, complex series of interactions between those molecules that you just talked about, guided by a genetic code and coordinated and regulated by specific types of molecules that are called redox signaling molecules. And by the way, that's a term that science came up with, not ASEA. Many don't realize that our bodies have the innate ability to overcome many, in fact, most health challenges, if given the resources to repair or replace dysfunctional or diseased cells. And by empowering your inner doctor, where would we be without that? Redox reactions, what are they? Well, they're reduction and oxidation. Redox reactions are reactions between molecules and involve the transfer of electrons. They're negatively charged little subatomic particles, and oxidation is the loss of an electron, and reduction is the gain of an electron. So redox signaling molecules are generated as a byproduct of the metabolic process that turns food molecules into energy, cellular energy, ATP, that gets locked up into that food during what's called photosynthesis. These redox signaling molecules play a vital role in maintaining redox balance to minimize what we call oxidative stress. Oxidative stress, for those of you who aren't scientists, equates to inflammation. And also they serve as regulatory mediators. And we'll talk a little bit about that so you can understand what that means. Here's a few facts about RSMs, redox signaling molecules. I can't get enough on the slide if I spell all these things out. It takes up too much room. But they're byproducts of metabolism. They're formed in the mitochondria. They're naturally occurring in every cell. You wouldn't be alive if your cells weren't making some of these molecules. They're tiny, 3 to 4 atoms. They're short-lived, very unstable. They're either used up or they decay back to something else. And they're an intense area of research. And thank goodness for those of you who are listening tonight, they're also an excellent business opportunity. More important than what they are is what they do. Just a little bit about, for those science-minded people who want to know what I'm talking about, what molecules are we talking about? That top row is an example of a few. Superoxides and hydrogen peroxide and hypochlorous acid and nitric oxide. Those aren't necessarily the only ones. There are 20 or 30 some molecules that can serve as redox signaling, maybe more. And they interact quite closely with the next line there, what are called transcription factors. And if you've been following ASEA's research, which we'll talk a little bit about tonight, they interact with transcription factors such as NRF2. Don't really pay attention to the rest of this. They all signal in a way. But before I get to more of that, here's some examples. Note that the next category, those transcription factors, which I just mentioned, are very closely functionally affiliated with redox signaling molecules. There are a number of other redox signaling molecules, and don't ask me if these molecules are in ASEA redox, because although I'm on the medical professional board, I also signed a non-disclosure agreement. So I'm not going to tell you whether they are or whether they aren't. Quite frankly, I don't really know. So what do these naturally occurring redox signaling molecules do in your cell? Well, let's take a look. They protect cells from oxidative stress by maintaining homeostasis, a fancy word for balance. They promote stress resilience, and we're going to talk more about that, especially when it comes to ASEA. They serve as regulatory mediators that make life and health possible. They support genetic expression and multiple cell protection pathways. We'll talk more about that as well. They detect damaged cells, either from trauma or aging or infection, and they activate genes controlling repair pathways. Remember, we're talking about the natural redox signaling molecules that your body already makes. That's quite a list. ASEA's research has recently focused on oxidative stress and promoting stress resilience because it's very, very important for your foundation of your health. Because stress causes most, if not all, diseases. How does stress? We all know stress is bad. Most people are referring to emotional stress. But lack of sleep and poor diet and not exercising, those are all stressors as well. But how did they cause problems? They cause problems by causing a redox imbalance. These native molecules help us to be resistant to stress by making us resilient to stress because we can't eliminate it from our life. And for the non-scientists, again, oxidative stress is the root cause of inflammation, which you probably have some understanding of. And inflammation is something to vigorously avoid. We can't avoid stress, but we can improve our cellular response to it. More on ASEA redox supplement and stress resilience in a few minutes. Now that we know how vital the redox process is to controlling stress, let's take a closer look at redox signaling molecules' role in signaling. What is cellular communication? Well, it's a scientifically documented mechanism of cell communication essential to many functions of normal physiology. It's key to coordinating a wide range of biochemical and physiologic processes in and amongst our cells, and our lives would simply not be possible without effective redox signaling. Understanding cell communication is the key to understanding health and disease at the foundational cellular level. Redox signaling molecules play a critical role in the healthy regulation of all, and I mean all, major body systems. Genes give the sustaining instructions to cells, and cells carry out those instructions to keep you alive and healthy. And that genetic expression requires redox signaling molecules. As we age, cell communication breaks down and signals weaken and gene expression can be disrupted. That's one of the reasons why illness tends to be more common amongst the elderly. And supporting accurate gene expression is an additional and vital role of redox signaling molecules above and beyond controlling oxidative stress and inflammation. At the foundational level, all cells work basically the same. Whether you're a heart cell or a muscle cell or a nerve cell, they all work the same way at their foundation. They stay healthy in the same way and they get sick in the same way. Only symptoms differ. And genes hold the life-supporting instructions for cells of all types. They all receive those instructions through a process called genetic expression. Genetic expression requires redox signaling molecules. In addition to moderating oxidative stress by maintaining redox balance, genetic expression is a very important process facilitated by redox signaling molecules, but only one of many that is being investigated at redox research centers around the world. Many millions of dollars are being investigated looking at the role of redox molecules, redox biology. And remember, this is a new and rapidly expanding science. And the future of redox science is absolutely amazing. And we sit right in the middle of it with the only effective in fact, the only redox signaling molecular product on the face of the earth. This is a diagram of what a regulatory circuit looks like. It's a diagram of how redox naturally regulates all cellular responses. And remember, we're still talking about the native ones that your cells make. Detection involves a change in the redox state of a cell. Communication involves the initial steps towards gene expression. And solutions involve the selection of specific transcription factors. You might remember those from that one slide, the line below redox signaling molecules, play a major factor in expressing those genes. Genes are activated that bring about the needed actions to solve the problems. I'll show you an example later of a specific and very important redox regulatory circuit. As an introduction to ASEA redox supplement, let's look at something Virtus Norton said over 13 years ago, because we're switching gears here and we're going to now talk about ASEA redox. Virtus made this declaration before the first bottle of ASEA redox was ever sold, maybe before it was made as ASEA, before much of what we know now about redox was even known. What did he mean by a breakthrough? Well, if you look in the dictionary, a breakthrough is a significant development in scientific knowledge that removes a barrier to progress. And if you think about it, the discovery of the role of redox signaling molecules certainly broke through a barrier. And that progress is unfolded at a brisk pace as science has revealed the true nature of the redox signaling process. It turns out that ASEA redox is a foundational wellness product like no other. As true today as it was in the beginning, if I were you, I would take a screenshot of this quote by Virtus because it's quite famous around ASEA. Up until now, I've been talking about redox signaling molecules native to your body. Now let's talk about ASEA redox, a bioreplenishment product with redox signaling molecules identical to those native molecules. Identical, but longer lasting, both in the bottle as well as in your body, because those that are made in your cells really only stick around for fractions of a second. ASEA redox is the first and only supplement on the market that contains active and stabilized redox signaling molecules. These molecules also work at the cellular level, as do the native ones, to rejuvenate and restore cells. What is ASEA redox? Well, it's a unique, standalone, one-of-a-kind product that is a proprietary and patented combination of stabilized redox molecules. By the way, if you ever lack a definition, you might take a screenshot of this one. It's formulated specifically to safely duplicate the physiologic properties of those native molecules that we were talking about. It's manufactured from very pure water and sodium chloride using a patented electrolytic process developed solely by ASEA. It's been refined and improved over the past 13 years. And it's amazing how much progress they made in this area while everybody else was hunkered down with COVID. So they're ready to rock and roll with the best formula ever. It's protected by multiple patents and hundreds of trade secrets, owned by ASEA, a biotech company in Pleasant Grove, Utah. Next, we're going to look at an easier way to describe these molecules. Many of you have problems explaining what ASEA redox is and what it does. Don't feel bad about it. So did I, and so did other members of the medical professional board. But we got together, along with corporate, and came up with these keywords to help you do that. These are ASEA keywords to use when presenting ASEA redox to others. Don't use the sciencey stuff that I've been talking about. It's important probably for most of you to know that that's there. But here's how to explain it to someone who just asks you, what is cell signaling? What is this ASEA stuff? Well, these are tiny molecules that are easily and rapidly absorbed. Once absorbed, they turn on and off multiple metabolic pathways or switches, initiating a cascading effect through the body, rapidly affecting trillions of cells, naturally strengthening stress resilience and promoting overall wellness. See, that wasn't bad. That wasn't too hard. You can memorize that and roll that off your tongue when somebody says, well, what is this stuff in the blue bottle? It's really the tiny molecules that are rapidly and readily absorbed that turn on and off various switches. We're going to talk about some of those switches. Remember, I talked about this already. when I described the native redox signaling molecules. Evidence is accumulating that ASEA redox does the same thing that your native redox molecules do. Duh. Makes sense, doesn't it? Let's focus on ASEA's influence on redox homeostasis, fancy word for balance, on oxidative stress and on stress resilience, because that's really where ASEA has been focusing a bunch of its research. ASEA's research is focused on these areas because it's important. These molecules help us to be resistant to oxidative stress by making us resilient to stress. Again, we can't avoid it. There's no way to avoid those stressors in our life and on our body. But redox supplementation can help us minimize the adverse effects. For the non-scientists, again, oxidative stress means basically the same thing as inflammation. So these redox molecules in the blue bottle essentially perform all of these duties. Now, I know when cell performance first came out, a number of people had trouble distinguishing between how cell signaling, the blue bottle molecules worked, and what was this cell performance stuff. So we came up with this these slides that I'm going to show you that explain the difference between ASEA ARS, ASEA redox supplement, and cell performance products. The cell performance products are redox active, but they do not contain redox signaling molecules, and that's an important distinction. So cell signaling, as I mentioned, are tiny molecules. Cell performance are large molecules, mostly plant-based, herbs and that sort of thing. Cell signaling molecules are rapidly absorbed, but cell performance molecules need to be digested. So they don't work as fast. They need to go through your GI system and be digested, broken down into smaller molecules. Cell signaling molecules turn on and off a number of switches. Cell performance molecules react on the surface of the cells with certain molecules that exert a lock and key effect. So in other words, that cell performance molecule will bump into a cell, look for a lock that it can open up, and then they get into the cell to perform their duties. Cell signaling molecules, on the other hand, get absorbed and rapidly move from cell to cell throughout your body. Cell performance molecules are not redox signaling molecules, but they interact with certain biological processes that are redox sensitive, and they do act through the process of electron loss or gain. Cell signaling molecules cause stress resilience and overall wellness. Cell performance molecules are targeted to certain desired results. So those are the differences between cell signaling and cell performance molecules. Hopefully that helps you. Let's switch gears here and talk about ASEA redox supplement role on genetic expression. Science has proven that facilitating epigenetic expression is an important function of both real and native redox signaling molecules. ASEA commissioned a research study to determine if ASEA redox also influenced this process. Does ASEA redox supplementation really help turn on specific genes? Well, let's take a look. ASEA did a study. It was an 8-week study. Average age in this study was 35 years old. So when somebody tells you that ASEA redox is only for us old folks, full disclosure, I'm 75. The people in this study, and we did find positive results, were much younger than I am. But it showed that it activated 5 important gene signaling pathways by up to 31%. That's a positive impact that we don't often see with a supplementation type product. And these are the areas that it influenced: immune system, inflammatory response, and we've been talking about that, cardiovascular health, healthy digestion, and hormone modulation. These are 5 areas that are very important in people's health. They affect millions of people. Let's drill down on the pathway with the greatest improvement, EGR1. As it turns out, this controls 15 specific transcription factors. There's all 15 of them. A transcription factor is what actually switches on particular genes, enabling it to be expressed and bringing about the results that that gene controls. Let's look at box 4. Box 4, well, we could briefly look at box 1 and 2. Those are serotonin, very important in nerve issues and neurons and synaptic support. But let's look at NRF2, which has to do with antioxidant health and the maintenance of glutathione and superoxide dismutase. So far, ASEA has only looked closely at one of these 15 boxes, but there are 15 possibilities for the future. There are 14 other possibilities to explore with future research. Why is ASEA focused on NRF2? Because of its impact on oxidative stress and stress resilience. Turning on NRF2 is critical in promoting stress resilience, and stress resilience has a profound effect on our overall wellness. The results of the research are quite impressive. Again, we're working with redox regulatory circuits. The problem, the detection, the communication, and the solution. And here is an example of why turning on NRF2 results in some very beneficial effects. It's like a thermostat. If you have more oxidative stress and too little balancing antioxidant production, then it turns on NRF2 and builds the response with making extra antioxidants. So why would you want to increase NRF2? As it turns out, NRF2 activates that production. Here's a sciencey looking slide, but if you're a science nerd, this is how it works. What happens is that the NRF2 transcription factor, if not needed, is just floating around the cell waiting for the call to action. That call to action removes that suppressor molecule, keep1, and now NRF2, let me do the fancy stuff here. NRF2 is now free to enter the nucleus. You can see that pulsating red arrow, and it has to get into the nucleus to go to work. And when it gets there, it turns on the gene that calls for increased antioxidant production. And this shows that antioxidant proteins and cell defense activation by removing the inhibitors. What removes those inhibitors is quite interesting, because you see here that redox signaling molecules directly interact with NRF2. That's over on the left-hand part of the slide, ignore the right. And by interacting directly with NRF2, it causes production of antioxidants. So redox replenishment directly enhances NRF2 activity and antioxidant defense. Look at what else does that: exercise and lifestyle changes. So what we're doing is essentially hacking into the cell and telling it directly to go ahead and make more antioxidants. That's the theory. But does ARS really increase NRF2 and increase glutathione? ASEA partnered with 2 universities active in redox research. And they wanted to answer the question, does supplementation with ASEA increase glutathione? Here's the results. It increased glutathione by 55 to 60% actually. And what's interesting is these are cells that were treated with a compound that is supposed to decrease the cell's ability to do this. And despite that, supplementing with ASEA redox was able to overcome that and cause a significant increase in glutathione. They also did a similar thing with, actually that was Renew 28. They did a similar thing with our blue bottle ARS and evaluated its ability to increase NRF2 response. And we see 160% increase when these cells were exposed to redox ARS supplementation. So in both studies, redox signaling molecules and Renew 28 increase the activation of NRF2 pathways by up to 60%, actually quite a bit more than that in the case of the Renew. And the activation of NRF2 is associated with mechanisms responsible for antioxidant protein production. It's also interesting that the researchers in these 2 studies could not believe the degree to which ASEA redox supplement actually increased antioxidant production. So they repeated these studies over a dozen times. They sent their results out to outside labs to ask them if they could reproduce this, and they were able to. So now labs are coming to, universities are coming to ASEA with ideas for future research. That has never happened before, and that is really exciting. So I know we're running towards the end of the half hour here, but stress resilience is a little difficult to wrap your head around, but environmental stress or illness results in redox imbalance, which results in a stressful response and oftentimes illness and a decrease in your health. So that's life. We're in and out of redox balance, but supplementing with redox has been shown to be an effective way to improve our stress resilience. Key concepts to understand is that ASEA works with our cell biology, not against it. It doesn't block or do anything harmful. And to understand redox is to understand life and health. And redox is constantly enabling cells to adapt to stress and develop resilience. So again, we've got a lot of other pathways that we can look at. I don't know which one ASEA is going to look at next, but the future is very rosy for other impacts that ASEA can prove that our supplement is working towards. So there are 21 keys on a piano, there are 15 keys on redox, and we're only playing on one as far as we know with our research. The most common risk factor for all chronic disease is cellular aging. Aging, what's happening? You can read the slide. I don't have time to go through all of this, but aging is a redox problem, and we can impact it tremendously with our supplement. For every 10 years of life, we lose cellular production by 10%, and we can supplement that with our product. And now that we can restore more youthful levels of redox signaling through supplementation, we can have a significant impact. You can look at this slide. It's incredible how influential redox signaling supplementation can be on controlling the process of aging. Live younger, longer is what we're talking about here. So in closing, hopefully I've given you an incentive to go share this gift of redox with friends and family, understanding the huge potential of redox to impact wellness on a massive scale. And I'll also close with another quote from Vertus Norton. Understanding redox is the single greatest health science breakthrough of our lifetime. This technology has the potential to spearhead the greatest advances of health that we have ever seen. And that is as true today as it was when he first said that a number of years ago. So thanks a lot. And I'm going to stop sharing.
Wow.
And hopefully that wasn't too much information. So
yeah, it's a mouthful, but the takeaway is, sometimes people start drinking ASEA and they don't really feel a difference, but it's kind of like taking vitamins, you don't necessarily feel a difference, but you do it because it's good for you. And you've just shown from a scientific standpoint what it does, whether we feel it or not. So anyway, thank you so much for taking time tonight and delving into redox so that we can have a better understanding of what we're drinking when we're drinking ASEA and putting the Renew 28 on our skin.
Absolutely. Don't miss out on it.
Absolutely. Well, listen, you have a great evening and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for inviting me, Cindy. It was a real pleasure.
All righty. Good night, everybody.